Hello, this is Sarah Estelle and welcome to my video for this Libra New Moon cycle, recording this in October 2021. So what I would like to share with you over the next few moments is some flower essences that will help us anchor in the energies around the Libra New Moon cycle. A new moon is October the 6th, 2021. So my passion and expertise is around working with nature and finding the aligned frequencies in nature that can help us walk through life with more grace and more ease. So before we start looking at the essences that have come forward to be shared today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Libran energies and the new moon. So new moon is a time when the sun and the moon rise in the sky in the same place and are symbolic of our inner feminine and inner masculine, and therefore balance. So that can be within us, but it can also be a reflection of the planet external to us. And it's a wonderful time for us to refocus and get clear on whether or not we are in alignment with what our heart and soul is calling us forward to do. It's easy to get distracted in this world, so we have this extraordinary chance to get refocused. When we actually focus in on the astrological archetype as well, we can get really clear on the specific frequency. So Libra is the balanced archetype. So we are literally just out of the equinox energies, and which again is a time of balance. So this is a wonderful time of anything that's not quite right in our lives, not balanced. We can set intentions around this for us so that we can be more balanced, whatever that means for us. Libra is also the archetype that deals with justice for what is right and wrong. And again, through our own filter of what that is, it's a wonderful time to actually do whatever we need to do to bring more balance and more justice out into the world, whether that's a reflection of our inner selves or outer selves. Libra is also ruled by the planet Venus, and so it's also a time of great self-love and a time for us, and I think we all need this right now, is to allow ourselves to feel our feelings and to connect to the joy and our sacred selves, however that is manifesting for us. And so I'm going to be sharing some essences to do with all of these things that we've just spoken about. They're not necessarily essences that you might see if you look up Libra, although some of them are, but they're ones that are calling out to me as a nature guide to share with you. So shall we go? So very first off, we have, and this is one of the essences that you would look up if you were to Google essences and Libra. This is Scleranthus from the Batch Flower Essences. So Scleranthus is an essence that we want to look to if our quandary, if our confusion has two polarities. So let's say I want to make a decision and I don't know if it's a yes or no, and I just can't make up my mind between the two things. Scleranthus would be my ally. So if you have something that you need to make a decision, you can look to Scleranthus. If you are somebody that double checks yourself all the time, let's say you go out and even though you know you've locked the door, you have to come back and lock the door again to check that you've locked the door, that would be Scleranthus. But the big out picturing of this is kind of like the sun, moon, feminine, masculine energies. Just allowing those energies to come into sacred right relationship for us, and how that might look for me is going to look a little bit different for you. So I just want to draw your attention to that. And if this green being calls you, then go find her in the batch system. This is Alpine Azalea from the Alaskan Essences. Now, all the ranges that I mention in this video are all essences that you can find, that we explore on the Flower and Vibrational Essence Diploma that I have the privilege to hold space for. Alpine Azalea has come forward because she is all about self-love. She's an essence that might not be so common, but I remember listening to the late Steve Johnson talking about this, and he said if you only ever took one essence from the Alaskan's range, this would be the one, because some of the greatest challenges that we have in life is doubting ourselves. How often do we hold ourselves back because we don't think we're right, or we think that somebody else can do it better than us? So if you have any level of that in you, and I know I do in me, any self-doubt, any lack of compassion, if you're hard on yourself, you can turn to this beautiful pink flower. And I really encourage you as we go through this to really check in, not just to my words, but to how the flower speaks to you. So even if I'm not necessarily saying words that are aligned, you go direct to source and listen to the flower. This is Canterbury Bells from my own range, Moonflower Essences. And I've shared this today because I think it's very, very important that we feel heard at this particular moment in time, and that we feel confident and able to speak up, to share of ourselves. With censorship happening all over the place, then sometimes we can feel that we don't matter, or that we may feel judged if we speak up. So Canterbury Bells is really going to help your throat chakra and start helping you to express yourself, to allow those feelings out of yourself, so that you can sound your own frequency into the world. That is so important and very, very special to me. This is Bleeding Heart. Now, all of these essences could be made by different producers from the ones I'm mentioning here. You can go and find those, or indeed you may even have some in your own garden. Bleeding Heart you can find in my own range, and also in the Alaskan Essences range. I've added this here because its essences follow very much the doctrine of signature theory, if you like. So Bleeding Heart is literally for a bleeding heart, so for any grief or sorrow within ourselves. However, it can also be, and of course these are connected, it's for when we are not embracing our true selves into our heart. So let's just say that part of me is doubting another part of me. That's going to be felt in my heart. If I don't trust myself, then my source connection, my higher self, is not going to be able to do her work in the world. So when our own inner feminine and our own inner masculine are not in the same place together, then Bleeding Heart can really, really help you bring those fragmented places in your heart together. This is Red Clover, made by the Flower Essence Services, also known as FES, and Moonflower Essences, my own range. I've chosen her here because if we look at the media of all kinds right now, it's very anxiety producing for many of us, especially those who are empaths. Red clover, and you may have your lawn or the nature around you dotted with red clover. There's been masses of it in my garden this year. Tells us, really starts to allay the levels of anxiety in ourselves. So when things are out picturing around us, if you get triggered by hearing something and it causes anxiety in you that won't go away, then red clover could be your friend to start to help you get calm and clear within yourself and find ways to live your life so that you're not exposing yourself to these triggers that can really derail us. Almost finally, this is wara from the Australian Bush Essences. I'm adding this one here because somebody who's very dear to me lost a family member just yesterday through suicide. And so I felt to add this because in this very unbalanced and very cruel and harsh world, Warata is an essence that we can take or that we can look to if we're feeling on the edge, whatever that edge means to us. So Ian White talks about it is in the emergency essence of the bush essences, and he talks about it as being the essence to give to somebody who is maybe in that place where they're considering not being on this earth anymore. But it can also just help us if we're in a dark night of the soul time of our lives. And if you take it for several days, it can make a huge difference. So I really felt that we needed to add that here to bring some balance into our world. And finally, here is oak. This is actually the oak in my own land, on my own land here in southwest France. I've recently just created an oak temple underneath her branches. Oak, I haven't put an essence range here because I'm encouraging you to go out and be with oak. Maybe not in everywhere that you're watching, but in many, many places you'll be able to find oak. Go and sit with oak. If you can't do that, find yourself an oak essence or just call on the spirit of oak. Oak is strength. Oak is courage. Oak is that deep inner masculine, divine masculine that's going to hold your back, allow you to stand tall in the world and walk on this earth as you. So I hope you've enjoyed my presentation today. The essences have all come through completely from my heart to yours. If you'd like to know more about what I do, you can go and find me and my work on sarahestelle.com. If you're interested in becoming a qualified flower essence practitioner, just visit my site and you'll find out more about how you can work with me in flower essences. Blessings to you, and I wish you a beautiful Libra New Moon cycle.